It took me 2 cities to get through that.
Hello, kiddies. Welcome to Gags from the
Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 188 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason, and tonight I'm joined by Mondo.
Hello.
Hello. And Jody, who is not prepared.
I am not prepared. That's true. I try to use my name on this chat as a way of preparing you for what's to come.
Are you preparing for Mortal Monday?
I'm just what I am confused about that.
You guys don't remember the Mortal Monday when Mortal Kombat came out on all the systems and like the whole ad promo, like nothing can prepare you.
Oh yeah, I do remember that in a vague sort of way.
I think he's making it up. That sounds like something I've never heard of before.
No, I'm not prepared for the podcast that I am currently recording, which is just great. That's the new level.
Wait, you prepare for this?
I mean, I at least usually watch the thing we're talking about.
Wait, you didn't watch the episode?
No, I am that far behind. You know how sometimes you have like one of those days or whatever. I've had like a string of those days. So like I thought I had watched it, and then I got to the point today that I'm like, okay, so I haven't watched it. I'll just watch it real quick. Oh wait, it's a 77-minute episode. So yeah,
it's a long one.
I'm not prepared at all. It's okay though.
We can all wing it. It's fine. It's one of those episodes. It'll be great.
I'm just talking the whole time anyway. It's not like I know what I'm talking about even when I do watch.
I mean, yeah.
It's chit chat. It's just hanging out talking.
All right, let's just go straight into it. So tonight we're talking Black Mirror season 7, episode 3, Hotel Reverie. Jody, since you very astutely watched this episode and prepared and took notes and everything, tell us what happens.
Is there anyone else who could describe what could happen in this one?
I got this as best I can. So
no, this is my role, but again, didn't watch it.
Yeah, no, you're all good, man. I didn't plan on synopsizing. You know how much I love synopsizing, but I'm gonna do a fast and dirty synopsis here, everyone. So what you basically have, have an actress who's been very much typecast as obviously a very famous actress because everybody seems to know her, but she was typecast as the best friend, as the sidekick, never as the lead character, what she really wants, and she loves old movies. So be it that there is a movie studio which is fledgling and probably going to go out of business, but luckily the owner of the studio is approached by someone with technology. And Jason, do you remember the name of the technology they called it?
Not you can, my head.
I'll keep talking.
It was like Reform or something
like that. And what they can basically do is they can take an actress or an actor and interject them into a movie, and they can play that role while the rest of the movie just kind of evolves around them like it's real life. So they go for some famous actors and they say no because it's a male lead. And then this actress, when she gets the role across, her agent gets the role across her desk, she jumps on it right away because she wants to be the lead, and they give her the lead and let her do it. What happens is she drops a USB key, which very much bothered me, that has the information about what the technology is. And she memorizes the movie, memorizes her lines. But then what happens is she gets there and doesn't understand what she's in for. So they basically put her to sleep. She's now in a dream state, but she's acting the movie. And as long as she gets all her lines, it goes like it's supposed to go. Except she doesn't know how to play the piano, is how this all starts. And she's supposed to play the piano, which I actually thought this part was funny as all hell. And so she starts playing chopsticks. Everyone's just like, no, they walk away. So anyhow, what it does is it breaks the actors in the movie to where they kind of don't necessarily.
So she's like in the Matrix or on the holodeck where everyone is like, they're all computer constructs reacting to her. She's supposed to follow the script, but she breaks the script and creates a plot hole.
Okay. So are they making a movie like for other people to consume, or is this more like you can be in the movie to experience it?
No, they're making it for other people to.
Okay, so they are actually like making a movie.
Yeah,
everyone else is AI though.
Yeah, unlike the Horror Express movie, this is more so the Horror Express episode. Very similar in vein to what they're doing, except for the idea is to make movies because they keep saying how they can make this movie in an hour and a half because they don't need to, as long as the actress hits their lines, which is also really ambitious to assume an actress is never going to flub a line or actor is never going to flub a line.
Yeah, there's not going to be anything.
Very ambitious. But what happens is the story ends up going off story. The actress in the story ends up falling in love with the main love interest in the story. Or the actress, the real life actress, ends up falling for the love interest in the story. They end up having an affair. She doesn't want to come out of it, but she does end up finishing the movie. But they change the ending, and in the ending, her love interest is shot and apparently killed. And then the end, we see the actress is no longer in the movie anymore, but she's able to reenact a phone call with her lost love.
Well, there's one major thing where someone spills coffee on like one of the computers and causes a glitch.
Yes,
that puts them like in their own like time where everything else is frozen. So like there's the main actress played by Issa Rae, Brandy, and she's only interacting with the AI actress Dorothy, and they get to like live out almost a lifetime because somehow their simulation is sped up compared to real time.
See, well, the problem is this episode felt like a lifetime, so I'm pretty sure I fell asleep halfway through it and then had to finish the rest. So, spoiler, wasn't my favorite episode of Black Mirror I've ever seen.
Well, Mondo, why don't you start this off and go?
Well, so the episode for Black Mirror standards was not as depressing as a lot of Black Mirror ones. I actually think it's more of kind of I think the messaging behind it is phenomenal. I think there's some really, really fantastic ideas in this, but I think they take a long time to get there. And it's really weird when this is an episode that I think didn't tell me enough, but also was too long. But I think they could have used their time in there a little bit wiser, where a lot of things really felt drawn out. And almost like they're trying to hit you over the head with certain things that you'll organically figure out if given time to figure out. Or, like I didn't need to see her doing so much menial acting in this potential movie because I got it right away. If you mess up, everyone reacts to your mess up. Like there is a scene where the dog ends up drinking a spiked coffee, I believe, and passes away from it. So we learn really quickly that whatever her actions that go outside the script do have consequences. And I do think it's kind of a reference. Like there's people. How many times have you watched like an old movie? Freaky Tales is a great example of this, set in the 1980s, where you watch it and you kind of yearn to go back to this time period and live like these people lived. And it reminds you of growing up in the 90s or early 2000s and not having constant access to media at the snap of your fingers and how much organically things are different. So I really love that because I see that in a lot of times when everyone's put on music before too and just kind of daydreamed about going back to that time period they first heard that record. And I think that's kind of what's trying to encapsulate here is almost the depressive monotony of modern life. But the only real problem with that is it made me feel depressed watching this because it took me so long to get there. It's somehow one of the least and most depressing Black Mirror episodes. I think because of just kind of how long it was. But the lead actress, I don't know her name, Jason. I know you're gonna have it for us. I thought she did a great job in the role. Even to where Desiree when she's I mean the actual actress that plays the character. Like the real actress, her name.
Yeah, Issa Rae.
Issa Rae. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said something else. Never mind. But I thought she actually did a great job in it. Having to kind of pretend she's herself, but also pretending she's herself, but another character in this, I thought was really, really well done. I think it does show. It's probably in a way trying to highlight some of the fallacies of Hollywood too, and how a movie getting remade gets you money quicker and it's easier to do than a new IP. So I think there's a little bit of commentary on that. And probably like this is the episode we need Rachel on or somebody who's really smart to explain all these things to me. No offense, guys. But I think we can all agree that Rachel's smarter than all of us at this point.
Yeah.
Combined.
Well, I think it's a commentary on that, a commentary on like women obviously a lot of times being reduced to not being seen as leading people in Hollywood. And so overall, I did not like this episode. I'm not gonna lie. I do think there's some great ideas in it. I don't want to say I hate it, because I'm all for when you can do some kind of inventive stuff and some creative stuff in it. It just missed its mark, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop in. There, when Black Mirror, so Black Mirror always has a bit of technology, kind of like as a plot device or something like that. But I think the less we know and the less they try to explain it, and it's just like a thing that we just accept, the better it is. The more they try to like, the more it has to do with the actual plot, the more it kind of gets muddied down. Because again, this is essentially like they try to make it like the Matrix. And like if she dies in the simulation, then she dies in real life. Like we've heard these rules and stuff before. And I'm kind of like, okay, I don't really need to know. I don't really care. And then like, yeah, it's really.
I think that's something you would have picked up without 5 minutes of exposition about it.
Yeah, exactly. And like the whole like, oh, we only rented this studio for the exact amount of length of the movie, as if like, yeah, there's not gonna be any flubs or anything the first time through. It's one of those things like, yeah, they're trying to put like a time limit on things, like a ticking bomb kind of situation where they have to finish the movie by.
But there is
really justify it.
And there are some obvious glitches they run into, so they would have had to go over their time, and they never addressed that. Like they're like, I want to see some other person banging on the door with their crew of cast and crew, like, it's our turn, get out.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's just no way logistically anyone would ever like, have it specifically. So there's a lot of things like in the mechanisms behind what's happening that don't really that don't make sense per se, or just seem like overly contrived, or again borrowed too often from other things.
Again, as someone who hasn't actually seen it, it sounds like there was a lot of over explaining about stuff, with like too many details of how it works and the functions and how long you have, the kind of stuff that takes you out of something if they start having weird, like, oh, we only have enough time for this to happen once, that kind of like, why even include that? Just leave that out. It didn't.
Very much so. And the whole piano part really kind of turned me off, because I'm like, really? If you're an actor doing a role, they're going to assume you don't like, if I'm auditioning to play Bob freaking Dylan, I forgot who played him in Complete Unknown, the studio is not going to assume that I can sing like Bob Dylan and play guitar like Bob Dylan. They're going to, if you can do that, that's great, but they're not just going to assume it and not ask you about it and not have a backup plan.
Yeah, and they give her the whole package. She's supposed to watch the thing on whatever the materials on the thumb drive. They never like follow up with her to make sure she actually watched that and she understands this groundbreaking technology.
Dude, and she dropped this thumb drive.
There's a lot of yeah.
Her kitchen's
fucking funny, they have the Roomba. I thought they were gonna have the Roomba like eat the USB.
I would have actually been much better with that than the fact that you just dropped a thumb drive and never noticed it in your immaculately clean fucking house.
Now, all that being said, I do think there's a lot of interesting emotional things happening. Again, for sure. With Issa Rae as Brandy, as this actress who's been typecast as either like the heroic sidekick or like the lead in some tearjerker Sundance Oscar bait. And then she kind of like falls in like this like whatchamacallit, pseudo relationship with this AI of an actress that she really adores in real life. And she actually does like this deep dive research into the actress from, who's dead before she was born, and you get the hint that there are some personal issues that this actress had. And then they kind of fall in love with each other, and they live like their own like lifetime, because their cycle is like, again, their cycles within the machine are different than the real. It's all very contrived, but the actresses, the whole cast is so good that they really sell the emotion of it, and that's what makes this episode at least watchable.
I agree with you on that. I think the best parts were when they had both the main actresses on screen. I thought when they were working together, those are very enjoyable, great parts in the episode.
Yeah. And so Issa Rae is the lead. The AI actress Dorothy, which is funny because Friends of Dorothy used to be like a code for people who were gay. At least like at least I know in Hollywood, or I don't know exactly, in certain cultural aspects, that was like a code. She's played by Emma Corrin, who is the main villain from Deadpool and Wolverine, and who actually I thought she was a really good antagonist in that movie. And I always enjoy Awkwafina. She plays more like the tech support, like the head of the technology I just find her very enjoyable. I'll watch her do just about anything.
Dude, she's in
So,
everything
like,
nowadays, and people complain about it, but I'm for it. Like, I think she's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, I've never understood the Aquafina hate. She's fun in most everything I've seen her in.
Yeah,
definitely. So I think because the cast is of such a good caliber, it makes it watchable. And obviously, the Hotel Reverie, like movie within the movie thing, is based on Casablanca, which I'm a huge fan of. It would have been cool if they could actually have used Casablanca and done kind of like what they did, like in the in some whatever it was called, the Horror Express from the Crypt show, where they actually used real footage and like CGI'd them in. I'm sure that it was they wouldn't let them do that, but that would have been neat to have replaced Alfred Bogart.
Like the fake ending, I thought was actually that was actually my favorite part of the whole episode, was when they did the fake ending and how they changed it and how it ended up being. And I love how you have the old movie studio exec when she goes, "No, this is perfect. This is brilliant." And I really kind of loved that. But again, it just took so long to get to that point. And I would have loved to see more of that on-screen chemistry with the two leads, because again, I think that was the most interesting part of the whole thing.
Yeah, there's the whole thing where like somehow the AI steps out of the confines and becomes like self-aware and is able to access the internet or something like that and see all these old articles about who she really is. That was all very weird. That didn't really make any sense. It was all trying to when they try to rig the technology to fit the plot, it usually backfires. At least in Black Mirror.
It's kind of like you're giving me all this exposition to explain things that I will figure out, but then you're not giving me exposition to explain things that are super complicated and convoluted. That's where I need the exposition, because I need this explained to me. Whereas, I mean, a simple thing you could have had her do is get like nick her elbow or something like that in the movie, and see like a little nick appear on her elbow, and that'd be a 2-second scene if you wanted to really do something like that. But no, they spent 5 minutes explaining what I already figured out.
And like the fact that within the episode they put out the movie, like she didn't like sue about almost dying from this technology. Like,
well, I think that's more to be said though about like when you look at something like Twilight Zone, the movie, right, and something like Poltergeist, people legit died on set, and the movie still got released. Because I still think there is a mentality of, if the movie doesn't get released, doesn't get put out there, then all this work I did on it and everything that I went through is all for nothing. So I do understand that.
Well, thank you for remembering that horrific incident.
I'm just here for a fun time, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, the performances, again, because they got such great actors, make it worth sticking through, but plot wise, it really kind of falls on its face.
Jody, if you want to go back and watch this, I'd say one of the best ways to do it would be fast forward through all the modern stuff. Watch the black and white pieces, because I think at least in my opinion, I think those are the best parts of it.
You still need to get some of it.
Just from an outsider perspective here, who didn't watch it, just hearing it definitely sounds like they were trying to do a lot in this episode, and maybe too much. Like, that's how we got 77 minutes. Like, maybe scale back a little bit about what your ambitions were for this episde, just a little. I think
it's just weird, because it's rare that an episode feels both too short and too long at the same time. And that's pretty impressive if you can do that.
That usually means the writer has written themselves into too many corners, and they're taking up way too much time trying to write themselves out, where they could just get rid of it.
I just know I tend to approach things with a different mentality if I'm watching TV versus watching a movie. And when something's 77 minutes long, that's a movie. Like, like I expect everything to operate in a different way in a movie than I do in a TV show. And so to get up to this length, like, it feels like it should, like, make more sense and come together more.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I don't have a problem with the long form episode like this, but again, it needs to then. There are movies, again, like you said, Jody, there are movies that aren't an hour and 17 minutes long. Sure. And they could have, I think they could have figured out ways to, again, give us more meat and potatoes where we needed it, and scale back on some of the stuff we didn't quite need.
I probably will watch this one later, because I do like a lot of the ideas.
The ideas are great.
And I like the idea too of, because she's basically falling in love with a fictional character throughout the thing, right?
Yeah, but the
I know she was based on a real person, or she was a real person originally, but as somebody who, grew up playing role-playing games and Zelda and stuff like that, and like fell in love with all the princesses that I saved on my video game consoles, I understand. I understand the getting too attached to fictional characters.
Oh, you can learn a lot about people that play Stardew Valley if you ask them what character they married.
Oh yeah, I bet. I just know as a small child, my first crush would have been Princess Zelda because I saved her multiple times.
So what we're saying, Jody has like white knight syndrome.
Maybe when I was 7,
My real theory is that Bowser and Princess Peach are in like some sort of dom sub relationship, and their kink is to have Bowser kidnap her. So they just keep letting Mario save her so he can re-kidnap her over and over again.
Jason, like, no, come on. Can we be wholesome about a game made for fucking kids from the fucking 80s?
No.
Mario is just a fucking over-the-top cuck. Like, he's like,
yeah,
I want you to fuck my girlfriend, but I want to go through peril to save her. Like, don't make it easy for me to come watch.
Like, oh no, we're in the wrong castle again. Come find us.
He walks in the fucking hotel room, and to get the cuck chair, he's like, "Oh, the floor's lava. I have to jump over all."
If only the new Mario movie had the Tenacious D version of Jack Black as Bowser instead of just like modern Jack Bowser or Jack Black, it could have been really interesting. Jack Bowser, that was fun. Combining all the names.
Have you taken your kids to see the Minecraft movie yet?
My son saw it with my mother-in-law this weekend, and she was like, "That movie was wild." I'm like, "Yeah,
well,
sure."
Let's give Jason a second to psychoanalyze the Jack Black's kinks in it, so that way we can ruin that for kids too.
No, because it's like Jack Black and Jason Momoa turned up to like 15.
Yeah, no, I feel like the Minecraft movie has to be like a peek into like the average 8-year-old American boy's brain, like just what kind of chaos runs loose in there, and the memes, and all that.
My buddy took his son to it and was saying, he goes, he's also a teacher, and he goes, I try to keep up on all like the modern slang and stuff like that. What my kid says, he goes, I understood about 45% of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever sat through a movie and people were like laughing and cheering at certain references that I had no clue what the hell they're talking about.
But hey, we're getting old, guys. What are you gonna do?
I know. At least like there's some, but the thing is, usually when that happens in a movie, there's some context to understand something. But this movie just like references something, or something's like in the background, and people are like, oh my god, there's a chicken in the jockey and shit.
You know what though? It just shows that movie wasn't made for us. It was made for young kids in Minecraft. That's fine. That's great.
I follow a guy on TikTok who's like a middle school teacher, and he's always doing skits like with the teenagers' vocabulary that they use, especially middle schoolers. Middle schoolers, like their whole like meme relationship to the world is bonkers, like compared to what I've seen in slang before. Like they relate through life as short form videos and memes, and it's wild.
I mean, not to take us too much on the tangent, but my son is going to middle school next year, so I've been touring a couple of them, and like middle school is a lot different now than it was in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
But back then we were just doing drugs and fighting people. Like, what's happened?
Now they have kindness week.
I didn't do drugs.
Kindness week.
Are you against kindness week? Is that some woke bullshit, Jason?
It's just that's not the kind of thing that we would have in my middle school. They have
I know, that's fucking awesome. It's almost like we're trying to get away from generational trauma.
I just can't relate to that.
That's one of those blue state things. We don't have kindness week in Tennessee.
There's
an executive order that's basically going to roll back. It's going to allow corporal punishment in schools again.
Oh,
well, not here.
Okay,
I homeschool my kids.
All right, I'm reeling it back to the
I thought you were going to say Tennessee never outlawed it, and
I'm sure they didn't. I'm sure it's been going the whole time.
Okay, just to bring it back to this, there was one good gag I liked where there was like a support person in the real world who was like in charge of keeping the plot like in line and order, and she keeps like trying to rewrite things, and she keeps asking like, "Will I get a writing credit?" That was pretty funny.
I like that, and I'm not glad that the piano scene had me cracking up.
Yeah,
So Jody,
And
she sits down and
one of
tries
my
to play
favorite
piano.
things.
Because the whole plot line is the character in this movie plays piano, and that's the song that this woman loves, and that's what woos her and how they become friends.
Okay.
Dude, she can't play piano, so everyone's like, "What the fuck?" I'm looking at her. Then she starts playing chopsticks. I'm not gonna lie, that got a legit laugh out of me.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things the actors do is when an actor pretends to be acting. Like they're like it's just
James
whenever that
McAvoy
happens in
in,
a movie or show, that's always I always find it very entertaining.
Yeah.
When the actor has to pretend to be a shitty actor.
It's funny because they always do almost an exaggerated version of their own acting, and that's what makes it really fun.
Right. All right. Yeah, it's not unwatchable. It's not terrible, but it's definitely it really needs some editing and some rewriting. That's my short form.
I honestly think you can get rid of like probably 30 minutes of exposition in this, and people are still going to understand it. And I sometimes think writers sometimes writers see their audience as stupid. In a way where they think sometimes they need to hand feed you something, or they don't trust the audience enough.
Don't trust,
I think they're stupid. That's the wrong term, because I don't think most of them actually do. But they don't trust sometimes that people are going to pick up on this. I know I do this when I write emails sometimes, not because like I think the person is dumb, because I'm thinking like, am I explaining this well enough? Like,
right.
It's more so an indictment on myself and how I think about myself than how I think about other people. So I do think maybe the writers were doing a little bit of that.
Yeah, no,
but I think again for Black Mirror, you have to assume your audience has seen The Matrix. I think that's a safe assumption.
Well, I'm with you. Is the writer himself might or herself might be thinking like, I'm not explaining this well enough. I need to espouse upon this. But then that's also where a good editor comes in and realizes, hey, you don't need this. You don't need that.
Well, in this case, the writer was Charlie Brooker, who is the executive producer of the show. So maybe the editor doesn't get to cut out as much as you normally would.
Well, that is true.
When Charlie's writing, maybe you just let Charlie do Charlie.
Well, and that's what I find a lot in movies is that when someone is new, people come in and give them some notes and kind of force them to cut back a little bit or like modify a little bit. And then once that person becomes super famous, super popular, super successful, they get less of that. And we know the person's talented, but some of the like Steven Spielberg, his movies haven't been like spectacular for a minute. And I think because people just are too afraid to say, hey, Steven, maybe you should do this to this and this. They just kind of let him do whatever. But on the other hand, you want the artist to have, also you want the artist to have like, you always say want to have the artist to have their vision, yada, yada, but sometimes they need a little bit of guidance. So it's kind of it's a balancing.
I need Jody's M. Night take here. No, I need Jody's M. Night take.
No, I was going to say M. Night Shyamalan is another one of those examples of like, he works best under restraints, whether it's budget or he's got some people around him. Because when they're like, hey, go do your thing, we get Lady in the Water. But when you have like other people working with him, he makes some really good stuff.
I've always kind of secretly felt that's what happened with the new Halloween trilogy. Is that David Gordon
Green got too much rope
after the first one came out? Like, oh yeah, do whatever you want, and it's like, maybe not.
Well, yeah, but what he wants is Corey. Come on, do what you want.
I didn't bring it up this week. It wasn't me.
Yeah, Mondo, you missed.
I was going to say
Corey last week.
What's that?
Oh, we got to talk about Corey last week because
what movie is he gonna be? He's gonna be in a remake of something.
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Deadly Night.
Stabbed him.
You want to know what though? When you look at him, he looks right for that role.
Oh yeah, he's right for Billy.
It's more why do this?
I really hope this is the Jody turning around on not the Corey character, but the Corey actor when this comes out.
Throw in something, yeah.
Like I said, you weren't here last week, but I did say I don't have any beef with Rowan Campbell. I have beef with Corey. Those are two separate people.
But sometimes though, with those actors though, you have to kind of like get a few other roles under their belt that you enjoy before you can let that go. Like I'm still hung up on the fact that Johnny Depp couldn't fucking stay awake back in 1984 and almost got Nancy killed. Just saying. I mean, granted, he turned out to be a piece of shit, but still.
Watching Pirates of the Caribbean, like, you asshole, you let Nancy almost die.
I was fucking right.
Real quick, just talking about the directors, I was gonna say like Rob Zombie, I think could make a really good film with someone else's dialogue and someone else's scripts.
Someone else's script.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I unapologetically love House of a Thousand Corpses and I love Devil's Rejects, but you also have to look at the time they came out in and how they were actually very different from the horror that was coming out at the time. But I will say, I'm with you. I think he has such a good eye for like even the Halloween remake. The cinematography on that is really good. The direction is just fine. It's just
his art direction is good. Yeah, his art direction is usually good, but like someone just needs to say, "Hey, tone it down on these characters a little bit."
Well, that's the House Thousand Corpses was meant to be super over the top, and have these over the top the characters is really kind of, when you think about it, almost a love letter to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And Dr. Satan is actually taken right from Dr. Freudenstein off of House of the Cemetery, Lucio Fulci. So he definitely has an eye for that kind of stuff. And you want to know what? I think that a lot of people who grew up as horror movie fans do have an eye for that, and we can appreciate that. But some of his later movies, man, like the fucking dialogue is horrible. Like my problem with the Halloween remake isn't that it's a Rob Zombie remake of Halloween, is that it's taking this sacred source material and bastardizing it as opposed to just being a generic slasher film, which would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. He is too in love with like unpleasant characters, and so like you have to watch his, like, because sometimes, you know, he's got great visuals, he's got great stuff happening, but the characters are exhausting for me. I'm
rocking the Captain Spaulding shirt over here.
Yeah. And as far as characters go, that's probably the best one. Like, I like Captain Spaulding.
But you can definitely tell, right? You can definitely tell in those movies that Bill Moseley were given a lot of free reign.
Yeah.
And you can tell that so is Sid Haig. But even Bill Moseley said that there are actually in Devil's Rejects some things he was very uncomfortable with doing.
Sure.
Like mainly the hotel room scene where they're all in the hotel room and he's saying all the lewd stuff to the guy's wife. It made him very uncomfortable, but he also thought that was some of Rob Zombie's best writing because he was making Otis to be a deplorable character. And the problem with Rob Zombie is that he took these fucking characters, which are deplorable, horrible human beings, and almost made them sympathetic by the end.
Right.
When I was, when I saw that movie when I was 23, I'm like, that's kind of cool. But there's a lot. I still love that movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna. I will stand on that hill, but or die on that hill. But it is very problematic as far as story goes. You have to understand at the very end that the cops are actually the good guys. And they're trying to stop this murderous family who have raped and killed countless numbers of people.
All right, let's do our episode rating. Jody, what do you think of this episode, or what do you think you would think of this episode?
I mean, I don't know. I like black and white photography. You know, I'd probably enjoy it. I don't know. I'm gonna refrain from leaving a rating on something I haven't seen.
5 stars.
No, it's 5 stars. Mondo.
Like, again, for all my complaints with it, I have to give it a right smack in the middle, 2.5. Because again, a lot of great ideas. I just think the execution wasn't there. I don't want to take away from any of I think the performances are very good. Cinematography was very, very good in this. And again, when it first started, I'm like, I'm gonna love this episode because I love that old black and white era. And then it did not turn out that way, but it was okay.
Yeah, I was gonna give it 2.5 as well, and for all the exact same reasons you said. The performances are great, it looks great, but yeah, the story just is not there.
Yeah, I was torn between a 2 and a 2.5, and I'm like, let me bump it up a little bit because I enjoyed the performances so much.
Like, it's not an offensive episode by any means. I think if it's under 2.5, that means this episode is kind of aggressively offensive.
And you want to know what? I know there's going to be probably people out there, even people listening to this, that are like, that they're going to say we didn't understand what they're going for, and they got more out of it than we did. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly acceptable. And if anybody out there, any of our listeners have different takes on this, like, let us know. I love hearing when. Like, part of the fun part about doing a podcast is us talking about this and us having each different opinions on it, because it's kind of cool that media can do that. So if you love this episode and we didn't, there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. We're all in the horror.
But it also might mean something if you and I have a in sync opinion that might be a little more true than not.
Yeah, we have some in sync opinions sometimes. You know, it's this time meaning we're in sync. Yeah, it's
every now and then we get the hive mind.
Yeah, and I always think it's funny because like. It's funny. I somehow expected Jason to super love this episode and me not to like it because I don't know why. I don't like because a lot of times we joke that Jason's the fun police, and I'm like, this is the kind of episode Jason's gonna love because it's not really fun.
Well, it's funny because you were talking in our Slack conversation about your thoughts, and I was holding back because I wanted to save them for the episode. I figured you thought I was gonna love it. I wasn't
I did.
responding to you.
I need to go back to when I used to guess your ratings and put them on a piece of paper. Because I was right about 80% of the time, I think, or within half a point.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do a quick shout out.
Gobble gobble. This is Onyx the Fortuitous, Slayer of the Bright Realm, and you're listening to Dads from the Crypt. I don't know.
Oh, Bowser.
What a nice guy, too. Like, one of the cool things about cheap plug here for Chattanooga Film Fest, which is coming up, and I'm sure Jody's going to get to this in horror news.
I will be talking about it, yeah.
So I'm not going to say too much, but meeting him there and seeing Onyx the Fortuitous premiere was with that crowd was like super fun and one of the coolest things I've ever seen at a horror fest or a film fest.
Yeah, that movie is so much fun, and I just want them to keep making them. And I know that it's gonna be hard to get the budget back again to do another, but the first one was so good. I want them. I want more. Oh right, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
So this is a band I just recently discovered. So again, I'll give a shout out to this Gimme Metal company. Also Gimme Music, Gimme Radio. They've done too for different genres, but they do like a vinyl of the month club I've been subscribing to for forever, and they tell you what's coming next month if you want to skip a month, so you're not always bound. Like this month is some band called Turnstile that I don't like, so I'm skipping this month. I took a chance on this one because the cover art looks like I'm looking at it right now, like it's really kind of off the wall. It's both a combination of like old like 90s CGI, but also like I can't tell if it's modernly painted, so I think it's cool. Anyhow, the band was called Dream Unending, and they play an atmospheric kind of death doom, so very slow and droning. Perfect for dropping an edible and just chilling out and listening to some music that might horrify you. For me, it just soothes my my old man soul. But I thought the name of the band was perfect for this episode, Dream Unending. And
I'm putting on my Spotify right now.
Oh, as you should. And this is off their first record. It's called Tide Turns Eternal. And the song I'm going to pick is the title track because it's 11 minutes long. And I just want to, I'm eventually going to get this fucking playlist going for our website. I promise at some point in my life for our podcast, I'll get the 2025 Dads from the Crypt playlist going. And I just want an 11-minute song on there that people can get high to and vibe out on. It's got the traditional death.
So I'll be doing that later tonight.
Yeah, I call it death doom. It's death doom, funeral doom. People will call it that because it's like your traditional kind of like, so I mentioned Sonolith before, and Jason, I know you kind of dig those guys, where it's very kind of that slow droning doom metal, but with a lot of atmospherics behind it, and then just like the death metal vocals that just kind of fit in perfectly. And one thing I want people to understand that don't love this kind of music like I do, or don't understand the growling. Here's where I'm going to piss some people off and make some other people probably smile because they know I'm talking about. But I look at it like a lot of modern deathcore bands. Like a popular one right now is what Slaughter to Prevail and Lorna Shore. The vocals are used as vocals. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not actually knocking that. But I think sometimes with these older bands, the vocals were more so used as a fifth instrument or a sixth instrument to add atmosphere to the song, as opposed to just being like, these are the verses and chorus we're going to do. So, and that's definitely what they're doing here. So, but check them out. It's Dream Unending is the band. Tide Turns Eternal is the name of the album. It's a 2-man project, which also always makes it more impressive, where it's a drummer / vocalist and another dude just handling everything else.
That's really interesting. I've never heard someone explain the vocals in a lot of like hard metal like that.
Sometimes
that's the one thing. That's why I like instrumental, like hardcore metal stuff, because I don't like the singing very much often. But now that you explain it like that, it makes me want to recontextualize.
And there are bands I love that just use those voices for your vocal delivery or lyric delivery. But I think the bands that are really super successful are the ones that look at it as an extension of the music. It's kind of one of the things where like you'll hear in metal where there'll be a riff and then suddenly you hear someone like shriek over it or growl over it, which you wouldn't hear that in like pop music. It's very, very rare. I think because the vocals are meant to be an extension of the music. And like one of my favorite genres of music, and I hate this fucking term, I'm going to use it because people who listen to it will know what I'm talking about. But like depressive DSBM, depressive suicidal black metal, which is funny because a band called Spectral Wound did a song called Aristocratic Suicidal Black Metal, kind of making fun that most of these fucking wannabe bands are a fucking kid in the basement from a rich family who just wants to cash in on the fucking popularity and sell a record, whatever. Fuck them. But when you get into bands like Xaster, Leviathan, bands that were really Krieg is a good example too, because they really utilize their vocals as a delivery of a story, but also as being very instrumental. But the lyrics the vocals, in my opinion, the vocals should fit into the whole package. It should become one with the music. It shouldn't be jarring to where it takes you away from the music. But to your point, Jason, I do think a lot of death metal bands and black metal bands do that, where the voices are almost jarring and they kind of take you out of the music, when that's the exact opposite of how I feel they should be.
All right. Thank you, Mondo.
You're welcome, as always.
Do you have some horror news prepared for us?
Yes. No, I am prepared that way. This didn't take 77 minutes.
Okay. We need to change your name to Jody is somewhat prepared.
Yeah, no, I actually looked to see if I could change my name midway through, and I think I would have to leave and come back in, so I couldn't change it.
Right now, if you just left and came back, because Jody is prepared.
Yeah. But first, one piece of Dads from the Crypt news. Mondo, you mentioned putting something up on the website. We have a new website, and it officially has launched. With one small change, we were going to have bios, but Mondo and I can't get our shit together enough to write bios for ourselves. And so that's not up yet, but the rest is up, and you can listen to episodes. You can go directly to like special guests. And I think we need to put the Spotify on there at some point too.
Yes.
Now that you mentioned it.
Jody, I have an idea. I'm just going to put in there. You write my bio. I'll write your bio.
That might be what we need to do.
But I have a rule though. Yeah, it has to be as over the top and ridiculous as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's do this.
So anyway, check that out. dadsfromthecrypt.com. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm happy with the way it looks. It fits our new rebrand with our new logo and everything. So
it looks awesome, Jody. It looks great.
Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, especially the guest page was really well done.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that.
I mean, and if you like it and need some website work done, maybe hit your boy Jody up.
Sure. I'd be happy to.
It's not free.
No, it is not. All right. Let's talk about some horror news. We got some releases. First off, some new movies have dropped recently on VOD. We've got Drop has dropped on VOD. That's the new Christopher Landon movie, the guy who made Happy Death Day and Freaky. Very excited to watch this one. I've been wanting to all week, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Still the most annoying trailer I've ever seen.
Yeah, that trailer was not good.
Yeah, I don't know, because I haven't seen the movie yet. I don't know how much it really gives away of the plot. Oh, no. It feels like it gives a lot away.
It's not that. In a movie theater, it's got the foam vibration sound every 2 seconds. Yeah. And I watched it on my laptop again. On the laptop, it wasn't super annoying. In the theater, with that fucking blasting your eardrums every 5 seconds, I was ready to say, I think I told you that I refused to watch this movie based on the trailer. And then when I realized that, then when you told me who made it, I was like, oh fuck, now I have to watch the movie.
Yeah, I might watch it tonight. We'll see.
Another VOD release that I mentioned before is Big Freaking Rat, about a giant rat. I mean, it looks like there's a big rat puppet, and Felissa Rose.
Is it a rat of unusual size?
They made the joke in the article that I'm looking at right here. So yes, it is a rodent of unusual size.
Okay, so I also love that as a movie title, a blank of blank of unusual size. That can be anything. That's pretty fantastic. Like a tortilla chip of unusual size.
Another big release that just came out on VOD, Death of a Unicorn, the new A24 movie with Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd and lots of other people in there. Tia Leone, Will Poulter.
Yeah. I feel very much the same way I feel about this episode, where it's like the idea is really muddled, but the cast is so good that it just makes it very watchable.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that one out.
You watch it with your kids. It's a good like teen horror movie.
Okay, cool. One that I hadn't heard of that just dropped on VOD is called The Last Cabin, and it's a found footage survival horror home invasion type movie. It said taking inspiration from Wreck and VHS and stuff like that. So I'm still a found footage fan, so I'm probably gonna check it out.
Dude, I love fan footage. Can I call shenanigans on the movie poster though? The movie poster is basically Cabin in the Woods.
Totally fair. All right, a few more releases. We have a new Nick Cage movie called The Surfer. That's kind of a thriller type movie where he's a surfer. Let's see, what was it? Returns to his beachside town in Australia many years after building a life for himself. He's humiliated by the local gang of surfers, and then he declares war on those people. So a little John Wicky kind of something thriller. I don't know.
Maybe. Have you guys ever seen Pig?
I haven't.
I always been to.
Guys, like I'm telling you right now, it is fucking incredible. But the trailer made it look like it was gonna be John Wick style, and it is nothing like that.
Okay.
But it's incredible. And so I'm wondering if this might be going the same route where it looks John Wick style, then it goes a different direction. Because if you watch it, what I tell you, if you plan on watching Pig, watch the trailer. It doesn't really give anything away.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I will say that is my favorite Nick Cage movie of all time.
Yeah, I remember you saying that before, but it's one of those that's been on my list for a long time. One that is kind of on my list that just came out, Screamboat, the David Howard Thornton version of Steamboat Willie Killer Mouse copyright thing. But yeah, it's the one of the newest ones. It involves David Howard Thornton in a full like mouse costume in black and white. I'm gonna watch it. Like it's stupid.
Yes, me too.
I'm gonna watch it.
Have you guys seen the Mousetrap, the other one based on Steamboat Willie? Me either. I was wondering.
I'm gonna watch this one because David Howard Thornton's in it, and that's gonna be enough because he's always entertaining, even if the movie's not very good.
Yes.
That Stream movie that came out not too long ago, I thought was okay, but his character, like I could tell who he was. He had a mask on the entire time, but I could tell it was him. Just the way he moved through the entire movie.
I usually have a good memory, but I could not remember what you were talking about for a minute until you talked about David Howard.
I really enjoyed Stream.
It was enjoyable enough, but like he was my favorite part.
Yes, without question.
He was my favorite part. I think I remember reading at some point he did mime work, and you can tell like the way he moves like a mime. And that sounds bad in a horror movie, but it's perfect because he has so much personality in the way he moves his body.
If they ever start rebooting a Nightmare on Elm Street, like he could play Freddy.
Oh yeah, I think so.
And he's one of the few that I think could.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Out of releases onto trailers, we got a trailer for Fear Street Prom Queen, and I'm very excited for this. I like the other Fear Street movies quite a bit, and this one looks like more of the same kind of thing. So if you enjoyed the first ones, I think you'll like this one.
It looks really fun.
There is a new series coming out that I hadn't heard of until today from the creators of Slasher. I've talked about Slasher on this show before. Slasher is a Canadian TV show. I think it's like 10 episode seasons, and they're like, it's one of those things kind of like American Horror Story, where it's got a lot of the same cast members come back every season, but they play different roles. This new series is called Hell Motel, again from the same creators who made Slasher. So I'm definitely going to check it out. It's coming to Shudder in June. It's actually going to be a weekly release too on Shudder. So that could be fun if you have horror friends, because you can watch it and then talk about it and then wait for the next episode together. Let's see what else I got here. Matthew Lillard is in talks to join the Carrie TV series that Mike Flanagan's making.
I love Matthew Lillard.
I do too. I don't know enough about it, but I like Matthew Lillard. So, and now we get some Takeshi Miike news. Two things of Takeshi Miike news. First off, he is making a movie with Charlie XCX, the pop singer. She's producing and starring in it, and I have no idea what this could possibly be other than Takeshi Miike is involved.
Well, it's funny because someone posted about that in the article. It said like audition director Takeshi Miike, and I misread it as he was doing like a US style remake starring Charlie XCX.
Interesting.
And I was like, for a moment, I'm like, I'm kind of into that.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a really hard.
Um,
I think some of the movies that have those crazy twists are really hard to remake. I think it's
Mhm.
cool to remake it because you'll get a new audience. But if you've already seen the original, I think all you're gonna, I don't know, like when I tried watching like if I watched an audition remake, I'd be waiting the whole time for that moment
Right.
with the bag.
Wait for it to drop.
Yeah.
except when it's the same director, then that makes me more interested to see what someone like him would do with that.
Mhm.
But again, it's not happening. It was just like I had like a moment. My brain kind of went off for a minute until I reread that timeline.
I'm pretty sure
So,
all we know about it is that Takeshi Miike and Charlie XCX are involved. I don't think we have any details after that. But again, speaking of Takeshi Miike, he is also making Bad Lieutenant Tokyo, which is following Abel Ferreira's Bad Lieutenant and Werner Herzog's Bad Lieutenant. What was it? What was that called?
Port Lost, New Orleans, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Takeshi Miike is making a new Bad Lieutenant movie, and Mondo, I get to bring up wrestling, which is something I know nothing about. But Liv Morgan is going to be starring in it. She's a WWE wrestler. So
Yeah, I don't watch WWE because they're the MAGA fed.
sure, yeah.
But and that is not a knock on anybody that enjoys it or anybody that that works there. Liv Morgan is a very pretty girl. She's hopefully gonna like she's has a crazy marketable look. I'm hoping this leads to bigger things for her because like if you can get out of wrestling, as much as I love wrestling, and get into making movies where you're not having to fall on your back and hurt yourself and put wear and tear in your body and make more money, fuck yeah, like go do that.
I only know her from the episode of Chucky, the TV show that she starred
Yeah.
in. She was a lot of fun in that episode. She played herself and like was interacting with Chucky, and Chucky got to murder her.
She's a genuine horror fan, and it's really cool because like and right now in wrestling, you know, there's a bunch of wrestlers that Chris Jericho obviously loves horror for what it's worth. But you have like Shotzi Blackheart who loves fucking horror movie nerd and has been in a horror movie. Even CM Punk, I think the guy's a douchebag, but he's been in the horror movies. There's a lot of crossover there from people that love horror. And Charles Robinson, who's a referee, has like a crazy extensive horror collection, and he got his storage broken into and a lot of stuff stolen from him. But he had like original like Nightmare on Elm Street gloves and stuff like that.
The one thing that almost got me into checking out wrestling for a while a few years ago was when was his name Bray Wyatt? Yeah, and he played with horror a lot during his time.
He did. I think the hard part, though, when you try to interject that into professional wrestling, is you can't have all these other people on the roster playing it straight, and then this small little bubble of supernatural stuff. Like his character was actually the best when he played like a Florida swamp cult leader.
Yeah, I did some research into his stuff because he was an interesting character to me.
Yeah,
and
he almost was going for that Cape Fear. He's basically trying to play Robert De Niro from Cape Fear, and when he was in that role, I thought he was brilliant. But the cool part about the Fiend when he did the whole supernatural stuff was that Tom Savini was making the masks.
Right. All right. One last piece of news. We've hinted about it earlier, but Chattanooga Film Fest 2025 has released their second wave. And this looks like a whole bunch more fun stuff. You know, for the most part, you're not going to recognize most of these movies because they are a lot of times premieres or festival exclusives. But one of the things they're going to have is a showing of Faust, the 1926 F.W. Murnau movie, but with a metal soundtrack backing the whole thing. Which sounds awesome because it's one of those like super visually cool movies. It's a silent movie. So I think that's perfect for that.
I think that's in that we got to drop the acid. Like that's hey, we have no plans of dropping acid as of right now, but that would be the time to do it.
A few of the other titles are Queens of the Dead. It's the closing night movie, Under the Burning Sun. The one called The Spirit of Halloween Town, which is related to the 1998 Disney movie Halloween Town. Cool. I don't know how it all connects, but there's always documentaries. There's one called The Most Australian Band Ever. Yeah, so just lots of other cool stuff. They always pick some really interesting movies, things that I probably wouldn't have picked on my own, but then when I watch them, I'm like, this is awesome and I love it.
It's always interesting because every year, again, I've been there once and then I've done the rest virtually, but it's always a movie that I never expect to be like something I'll love tends to be the one that I fall in love with. Yeah. Like in 2023, it was Lola. It was not a horror movie, but that's a movie that I think was the best of the festival, and it was completely outside the realms of horror. But if anybody's thinking about going or joining virtually, please do. It's awesome. If you're not there in person, Discord is always hopping with people discussing the movies. They do secret screenings, and if you go in person, though, you get to meet Jody and I.
Yeah,
Just
we'll be there. But I will say, as much as I love being there in person, and I'm very excited, it's like one of my highlights of my year. The virtual side is still really cool. Like if you can't make the trip out to Chattanooga, you're not missing out on a cool fest experience because you still get to interact with people, get to interact directly with the filmmakers a lot of times on the Discord and along with all the other attendees. It's a good time. Chatfilmfest.org. And also they're selling tickets now, I believe, for individual movies too, in addition to the badges. So like if you can't be there for the whole thing or you can't do it the whole thing virtually, you might be able to pick a movie or two that sound cool and support them. They're good people. It's a nonprofit. They're not in this to make money. I know Chris says each year they barely like scrape by because it's about as punk rock a festival as you can come up with because they're flying by the seat of their pants and coming up with things as they go and still making something awesome. So I love it.
I had the best time a couple years ago, and I'm really excited to go back.
Yeah, can't wait. Chatfilmfest.org. Go buy something.
All right.
I'll give 2 pieces of comic horror news.
Cool.
Today was Free Comic Book Day. I didn't go because it's a big crowd. I don't like crowds, so I just didn't do it. But this week though, Godzilla versus Los Angeles came out. They also did one called Godzilla versus Chicago that came out last month, and it's basically an anthology of different people reacting to Godzilla attacks in the city they say they're in. And
I like that.
It's actually really, and the Chicago one was great because they had one where they're trying to sacrifice the low income part of the town to Godzilla by attracting it there. So a senator who was trying to work with low income people got them to go destroy the rich people's homes, and we all cheered. But it's really good. And also I just finished reading it. I don't know how much I love the first issue, but it's setting up. Sometimes those first issues of a series, they're just kind of setting up. But it's Red Sonja versus the Army of Darkness. So of course our good friend Ashley Williams does pop up.
Yeah, if you're an Army of Darkness fan or an Evil Dead fan and you've never read the comics, there is a huge extended universe of Ash William content out there.
They do it and it's great. They did Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. You can find in comics. I think they did one called where it was Ashley Williams and Barack Obama, where he was saving Obama from the Deadites. But another good crossover that just came out last week, issue number 1 came out, is Predator versus Spider-Man.
Oh, cool.
And
I like that.
The first issue was very good. And I like the fact that you can take the Predator character and drop him into almost any kind of reality, because of course you'd want to go after Spider-Man. Why wouldn't he? Like,
yeah,
that's a trophy. Yeah. What's that?
I didn't know they did that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, they do a lot of Predator crossover, a lot of Alien crossover too. Like Aliens versus Avengers is a thing going on right now.
Nice.
Oh, I did forget one other thing. I don't know if this will still be going on by the time this episode drops, but if you like to buy a bunch of Shout Factory Blu-rays, Amazon's having a huge sale on them right now. Like Blu-ray starting at $8.50, 4K starting at $15 for a lot of Shout Factory stuff.
Okay, let me go on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, you could own Ninja 3: The Dominion for $8.49 right now on Blu-ray, and you need to.
Third Ninja movie.
I don't know if I might have mentioned here weeks ago, but if anybody's a big fan of the Beyond like I am, Grindhouse Releasing still has some of the Beyond special editions left.
Oh, nice.
If you are a fan of that movie, holy shit, is it a great special? Like from the packaging down, it is awesome. And it's got a 4K version of the film, the composer's cut. It's got 7 Doors of Death, which was the US cut, which was my first exposure to the Beyond when I bought that when I was 18 in visiting a friend in the Quad Cities from Best Buy in the $4 bin or the $5 bin or whatever. So there's a lot of cool stuff of that. And plus, if you're a fan of the Beyond like I am, they just released for Record Store Day the 7 Doors of Death soundtrack on vinyl, which is much different from Fabio Frizzi's score. Just FYI.
Oh, and Jason, you can get Sleepaway Camp on Blu-ray Collector's Edition for $8.49 right now.
Dude, do you know this is not horror, but
sure.
Vinegar Syndrome announced Dirty Work on 4K.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Did you see the cover?
I haven't.
It is cursed. I did not. This is the first time I didn't order the slipcover because the slipcover is cursed, and I'm hoping the actual cover is different because it's literally Dirty Work shaved into someone's chest. I don't know why. It just gives me it gives me the ick, as kids say nowadays.
Yeah.
But they finally pieced together the dirtier cut, which is what they couldn't show in theaters, and it's kind of bittersweet that it's after Bob Saget and Norm Macdonald both passed away because they were always pushing to try to get that cut put together and released. So I'm super stoked for that because that's like one of my favorite comedy movies of all time.
Just checked out that cover. That's awful. It's really terrible.
Like, I'm hoping that's just the slipcover, so I order it without the slipcover because I don't fucking want that in my house.
It's really terrible.
It made me uncomfortable.
Alrighty. Any other news?
Did you ask for questions this week, Jason?
No.
Of course you fucking did.
I did not.
Who the fuck manages our social media accounts? Oh shit, that's right. It's Jason.
Oh yeah.
I can't really say anything again because I showed up for a podcast that I did not watch the episode for.
Dude.
So
it happens.
Things happen.
Man. Like for what it's worth, like, dude, you have an army of children at home, and like you live in the middle of nowhere where fucking power lines just fall down and tornadoes happen.
It's just been a stormy spring.
Yeah,
we're still in the middle of it. It's better than it used to be, though.
We actually got rain today here in Vegas, and we're supposed to get rain the next couple of days, which is cool because it's been in the 90s, and right now it's fucking gorgeous outside.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, it's been like misty raining in LA. This is like the first time I've ever done the podcast with any sort of like coat or sweatshirt on.
Usually
like,
Jason does it. First of all, for no one who's watched YouTube videos before, usually Jason does it shirtless, so you get full on chest hair and nipples. So just saying, if that's what you're into, subscribe to our YouTube page, leave a rating and review on Spotify if you can as well.
What's funny is I wear shorts so often that if I wear pants, my daughter will yell out in public, "Oh my God, Daddy's wearing pants." Like in the mornings, I'll throw on like sweatpants to walk the kids to school, and she'll notice while we're walking, all the other parents and kids are around, and she's yelling, "Daddy's wearing pants today."
You're like, oh my God. For the record, I wear covering.
I love the implication that you're just Porky Pigging it the rest of the time.
Well, you work
Speaking
from
of Porky
home.
Pig, have I told you guys? Have you guys watched have we talked about this? Have you guys watched the new Looney Tunes movie, the Porky Pig Daffy Duck movie?
I haven't watched the movie yet.
No.
I've watched some of the new stuff they've done.
It's fun as all hell, but there's like this dark part where they explain how Porky got his stutter because basically when they were babies, that like Daffy hit him in the head, and that's what gave him a stutter.
Oh my God!
Like we're just making fun of concussions here now and Looney Tunes, but it's a lot of fun though. It's worth checking out.
Yeah, I did watch on Max. They have the Looney Tunes cartoons, which are the new shorts that they've been making.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They're actually really good. They're a lot of fun. There's some that I really loved.
Oh, that's cool. I'll check it out. I do love too. Not horror news, obviously, but that someone saved the Wile E. Coyote versus Acme movie.
Yes, it actually is going to get a release finally.
Yeah, that got saved. Toxic Avenger got saved. Hey man, it's going to hopefully be an okay year.
All right, that wraps up another episode. We appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate if you would give us a rating and review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, a like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. And with that, I thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.